This barrel's for me.
Toe sucking. Who was this and just why?
It's 1992. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, and Prince Andrew had been divorced for a few months, and Fergie rents a place in the south of France. She took her financial advisor, John Bryan, with her. And not only that, but a pap found them and took photos.
Today's tale is a powerful turn in Sarah Ferguson's increasingly tumultuous tale. A shocking story claims she has made a total U-turn just when everyone in the nation believed she was flying off to Portugal to hide out with Princess Eugenie. Princess Beatrice, a recently remodeled annex, propane bottles, and what the neighbors are referring to as an enigmatic arrival are all part of the new plan. Indeed, the timing is really odd. This is disorganized. This is illuminating. And everything is altered. To ensure you don't miss the next installment in this tale, please remember to like and subscribe before we begin. According to reports, Fergie is in a panic. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, her ex-husband, has now lost everything. The meager remnants of his regal dignity were gone, along with his titles and honors. Sarah, who had been adamant about staying with him at Royal Lodge for years, was ultimately carried away by the tide. No official role, no title, no position, and now nowhere to reside.
Stripped Andrew of his HRH status and his public duties, and effectively he was a pariah publicly anyway. It would have been impossible for him to conduct royal duties on behalf of the family. And the king has taken it further and stripped him of private funding in a bid to kind of smoke him out of Royal Lodge.
Sarah Ferguson is homeless for the first time since the 1980s and might have to pay rent. However, the consequences of the Epstein affair have brought her to this point, a complete loss of status. Princess Eugenie was reportedly setting up a room for her mother in an opulent £3.6 million estate in Portugal a few weeks ago. Sunshine, seclusion, views of the ocean, and a new beginning away from prying eyes. It sounded perfect, almost too perfect. And Fergie was reportedly preparing to leave the UK, packing, checking out, and leaving the disaster at Windsor behind. However, a recent report has revealed what's actually going on. So we now know that might have been nothing more than a ruse. Princess Beatrice has reportedly secretly finished a significant makeover at her £3.5 million Cotswold mansion, and a complete makeover of the Granny Annex, not just any renovation. You name it, new stonework, repointed walls, new paint, remodeled gutters, new entrances, etc. Additionally, in order for delivery crews to supply propane gas bottles during the first cold snap this winter, the entire road had to be blocked. It can only mean one thing, according to the neighbors. Sarah Ferguson may be the person getting ready to move in.
Right to say the public purse is missing money from the rent he's allegedly not paid.
Well, I don't have the details of that, and I haven't seen and had a chance to go through that information.
It was perfectly expressed by one local. Fergie would love it, wouldn't he? Even if it doesn't appear to be much of a palace from the outside, I'm sure the interior is breathtaking. That is to say, the former Duchess may not be leaving the United Kingdom at all. The obvious question is raised by the possibility that she is parking herself in Beatrix's Cotswolds. How come she won't go? Beatrice, why? In a chaotic household, Beatrice is the more reserved, rational, and reliable member of the team. Beatrice has purposefully avoided the spotlight as her parents have spent decades ricocheting from crisis to scandal. Therefore, it says volumes that she is now proposing an annex on her personal land to her disgraced mother. According to sources, Beatrice and Fergie have always been closer than most people realize. Between Andrew, Sarah, and the rest of the family, she acts as a buffer, a mediator, and a peacekeeper.
Happiest divorced couple, as they describe themselves. She describes herself as being divorced to rather than divorced from him. I've heard her say on multiple occasions what a kind man he is, what a good father, what a good grandfather. But I think what's controversial in these comments is what she says about him being able to come out of the spotlight and get on with his life. Because
Since the palace would prefer to keep Sarah at a distance, while the Epstein fallout continues to explode. Beatrice finds herself at the center of the drama when she brings Fergie inside her own house. However, it's possible that this is precisely the goal, since something much more significant is in the works. Sarah Ferguson is reportedly negotiating a six-figure American tell-all interview with U.S. media. No handlers, no palace safety net, a complete sit-down. Let's face it, Andrew's last effort at a broadcast confessional was the biggest royal disaster of the century. The palace is aware of this. And because Fergie is erratic, the palace is afraid. She talks too much. She babbles. She speaks with emotion. She makes inappropriate remarks. She also has no standing, no title to lose, and no position to defend, unlike Andrew. A Sarah Ferguson confession is the stuff of nightmares for the palace, which makes this abrupt relocation to Beatrix estate appear much more like containment than a warm family choice.
You have someone a patron for charities that are helping children, and this patron is openly friends with a known paedophile, and she knew he was a paedophile by that point. If you want to vomit.
I mean, there are certain things you can recover from, JJ, right? We had a prince that was involved in tampon.
Let's examine this rationally. Why would she give up an opulent Portuguese property with a ready-made room for a granny annex in the Cotswolds? Because she gets what she so dearly wants by remaining in Britain. Visibility, access, and proximity. Perched on the periphery of the royal circle, Sarah Ferguson has always been at her happiest. Just close enough to be noticed, just close enough to feel significant. She is not at all suited to being stashed away overseas. Not to be overlooked is something really important if she decides to do this candid interview. She wants the focus to be fully on her, not thousands of miles away in another country, but right here in Britain where the story will be most explosive. Thus, while this U-turn is plausible, it might cause King Charles a great deal of trouble. The palace already wants to keep Andrew and everyone connected to the Epstein scandal at bay.
British tabloids have published emails sent by the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, the former wife of Prince Andrew, that appear to show Sarah Ferguson thanking pedophile disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein for their, quote, supreme friendship. The significance of that.
However, Fergie is back in the royal circle both literally and figuratively, because she is based at Beatrix's house. Although it provides some containment, her continual proximity and presence conveys the incorrect message. This is the royal family's advantage, though. If Fergie is accessible, people can visit her, offer guidance, issue cautions, and have someone monitor her. They won't have any protection, influence, or damage control if she disappears to Portugal and chooses to go on a talk program in the United States. This might therefore be a grudging compromise. Though not perfect, it might be preferable than the other option. However, this is now the actual question. What does this mean for Sarah and Andrew? Because the public has been misled about how tense things are behind the scenes. They promoted themselves as the happiest divorced couple in Britain for decades. A mansion, holidays, bills, and unending devotion are shared by two ex-partners. However, the cracks have gotten bigger, and the most recent reports indicate that the paint is being stripped. According to insiders, their communication has virtually stopped and their relationship is difficult. According to reports, Andrew begged Sarah to avoid him as he dealt with his humiliating demotion in a moment of frigid detachment. The comfortable united front has vanished. The familiar collaboration is no longer there. It is stated that he is angry, resentful, and spiraling. What has been discovered in recent months is reportedly upsetting Sarah, making her drink excessively and shaking her in private, even while she is still unable to physically remove herself. The woman who stood up for him for decades is now doing so on an emotional level. She doesn't seem to be accepting accountability for her own conduct and seems to be blaming him for his involvement. For the first time, rumors indicate that their peculiar codependent arrangement, which perplexed the public for years, may actually be coming to an end. It's possible that Royal Lodge's erstwhile power couple is finally ending their relationship. The entire scenario is evolving quickly, and this abrupt shift of course indicates that the royal family is still dealing with the fallout from Andrew's demise. Sarah's move towards Beatrix's house puts her in greater proximity to the very organization that she maintains she no longer belongs to. She is also much more scrutinized as a result. The relocation upsets the family's equilibrium and suggests that the larger Windsor circle may not be ready to accept the previous arrangements or allegiances. The following stage appears to be much more revealing than the previous one, and the tensions between Sarah and Andrew and the rest of the royal family are growing. Make sure to subscribe for the most recent information on Fergie's next moves, Andrew's declining status, and the palace handling the aftermath. The upcoming chapter will be important. I appreciate you watching.